Back to American Whiskey. As always, I'm your favorite host, Big Sturch. And it's a little different tonight because there's nobody in the other side of my studio. Uncle Joey was supposed to be here, but he was a no call, no show. And Dylan, aka Justice League, is at work. But there is a familiar face over in the Bermuda Triangle or the cornfield, wherever you want to call it. My buddy, Austin, is in the house. I'm not sure where Austin's at, but he is somewhere close.
Oh, thank you.
Here he is, folks. Welcome back to the studio, folks. We love you. We're glad you're back. So listen to another episode of American Whiskey. And don't forget, some things you hear in this episode may not be perfect for all little tiny ears. So listening discretion is advised.
But it's perfect for us.
Perfect. Welcome back to the studio, folks. We love you. We're glad you're here. Like I said, nobody's on the other side of the studio, but even better, it's been a while. We do have Austin in town. What's up, Austin?
What's up, everybody? It's been a minute.
It has. It's been way too long. I'm a little disappointed in you.
I know.
Let me be disappointed, okay?
Spring brings along the busy season.
It does. I mean, as everybody knows, we're both dads here. We got our kids are in sports. It's just crazy. So you're coaching, aren't you?
No, I am. I'm assisting this time of year. My wife is the head coach of the 10U girls softball team, so nice. I've gotten the chance to take the back seat.
That's nice,
which is nice for once.
Yeah, that's super nice to be able to just sit back. I'm realizing that this year I was going to help with my son's baseball team, but it just didn't work out and had some things happen. And it's like the first time in a long time where I've been able to just to sit back in a lawn chair and just watch. And it's if you don't get a chance to do that, you need to at least try, because it's rewarding just to be able to sit back and watch your kids enjoy playing baseball or football, whatever that is.
Yeah, you miss a lot of the action being on the sidelines. So getting a chance just to be, a viewer and not a coach, it's refreshing.
100%. So I like to go around the horn and talk about what we're sipping on tonight, but I'll go first here since it's just you and I'm just starting the night off. My very first drink of the night, which is hard to believe, but it's my first one. It's you're going to be proud of me. Actually, you're probably not going to be proud of me. You're not going to be very surprised, but we're sipping on Quality House and Coca-Cola.
Boom.
I know
you regular Coke, Zero, Diet Coke.
Coke Zero, brother. Coke Zero all the way. I gotta watch my figure.
I didn't know. Some people are like, if it ain't regular Coke, then it ain't whiskey and Coke. So
can I be honest, man? It's interesting. I did a traveling job for a couple of years. And we traveled over the United States building hub sites for Time Warner Cable. And I used to get Jack and Cokes. Well, my boss would get Jack and Diet Coke, but he would drink regular Coke for lunch. And so I started, he's like, I just like the Diet Coke with the Jack. So I started to do it. And then I switched over to Coke Zero, but I cannot mix regular Coke and whiskey anymore, just because it's just, I can't do it. It's just, there's something about that taste where I have to have the either Diet or the Coke Zero. So, and a lot of whiskey connoisseurs out there are going to hate on me. He drinks whiskey and Coke, but I do. It's always been a go-to for me.
They call it whiskey and Coke for a reason. They don't call it whiskey and cola or whiskey and Pepsi.
Right.
Whiskey and Coke just works.
It does. And no one drinks it. I've never in my life, not that I know of, had anyone try Jack and Coke or whiskey and Coke and say that's horrible.
Yeah. I've never heard somebody go to a bar and say, can I have a whiskey and Pepsi?
No.
I've heard people at bars though say, can I have a whiskey and Coke? And I've heard a bartender say, is Pepsi all right? And I've heard them say, no, I'll just take a whiskey.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I have heard that one.
I did hear an old wives' tale one time that Mountain Dew was created for moonshine.
Yep.
I didn't know if that was true or not, but
it's tied in very heavily to it.
Yeah, they used to mix it together. So what are you sipping on over there, brethren?
So I'm in the same boat as you. This is going to be the first sip of the night, not even just the first drink, but the first sip. Minus, again, like you said, contrary to the beliefs, because I was really struggling out the gate with words. But I'm gonna start my night off, and this
In
is
a
going to be
while.
our topic of discussion with a little Maker's Mark.
Very cool.
I chose the cast strength edition. A lot of people I know, Maker's Mark's a big company. A lot of people like the Maker's 46, the Maker's 46 cast strength. I'm not a fan of Maker's 46. I think it's the main like byproduct in little beers. I think they use Maker's 46 for that, potentially, but I can't remember. But Maker 46 is not for me. Outside of that, regular Maker's Mark, their cast strength's fantastic. They've got a lot of wood finishing series products that I really enjoy. And I've said it on some past episodes. This is not the exact one, but Makers does a lot of private selection, where they do a lot of different style profiles. But my absolute favorite bourbon is one of the private selections from Maker's Mark. It was by Good Spirits. It's called Holiday Candy. Um, any listeners out there, if you ever see one, you ever find one, get it, and I don't care what you paid for it, I'll take it. It is, again, my absolute favorite bourbon I've ever had. But they only make them one time, and they don't make them again. They don't repeat the private selection. So chances of ever finding another one are slim to none. I've got like maybe a fifth of a bottle left. I've been holding on to it for like 2.5, 3 years, just knowing that once it's gone, it's gone. So,
Dude, I just literally opened up I got the Maker's Mark Founder series here, which is just your regular Maker's Mark Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey. And they put on here in nice fancy lettering, handmade Founders series. But I just opened it up, I broke the wax on it, and it was a twist top. It's not corked.
yeah, plenty of them are. I mean,
Yeah.
the three I have down here are all synthetic corks,
Mhm.
at the moment, but I've had plenty of them that are twist off tops.
Ooh, what a good smell! Just right off the rip, pouring that, I'm like, oh, that smells good.
Yeah.
And would you agree if I were to say, give me, hey, I'm starting out with whiskey, give me 5 go-tos that you would say to get? I'd say Makers is on it.
Yeah, if somebody's never, or name the 5 whiskeys you always see in a bar. I mean, Jack Daniels is gonna be there,
4
Jim Beam's
Roses,
gonna be there, Four Roses, a Maker's Mark. Um, you know,
10 high,
you, what was that?
10 high.
10 high. But I mean, Maker's Mark is just a bourbon that you can find
Yeah.
in virtually every bar you go
And
into.
we've had that conversation before. We actually were just talking about this before this episode started. How many people, if they find out Wineworks in Springfield is going to have E.H. Taylor tomorrow morning, how many people would go there right now, right this
Yep.
very second, and wait until 9 o'clock tomorrow for them to open? When there's absolutely, I mean, you're going there just to either sell it or trade it, most likely. But when you have something so available, we're going to sip on it. We can do the Austin rating. I always call it the Austin rating, but we're going to find out most likely, if I remember correctly, this holds its own. This is a good. What's the price on just the regular? Do you know the different prices on the Makers?
I know the Maker's cast strength is like $35. I don't know what what their regular, because that's 90 proof, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know what that is, but I know the cast strength's like $35, $40. Whatever the regular, I'm not sure what the regular's Maker's Mark, but I would assume it's cheaper because you're not going to sell them both for the same price when the cast strength's 110 proof. I think the Maker's 46 runs like 20-25 bucks. It's cheap.
It's not
Uh,
expensive at all, and
no, it's
everywhere
not.
that sells whiskey is going to have these bottles that we're drinking tonight.
Yeah, yeah. There's um yeah, I mean, the private selection one I have, you can't necessarily find this, but they do all kinds of private selection ones. Those run like $55-$60. They run a little bit more, like their wood finishing series, it runs a little bit more. I think it's 50-55, but those are ones that you're going to find ones that you really like. They've taken a little extra time to kind of profile those, but the Maker's Cash Strength you can find everywhere. 46 you can find everywhere. Regular Maker's Mark. I mean, they are in every store,
Yeah.
every bar you walk into.
Just a couple things I'm going to hit on it before we try it, Austin, and you can add to it or correct if I'm wrong. But if you go on to makersmark.com and just kind of look around on their website, you're going to see that they highlight a few things, and some of those things are going to be, the Bill's mash. It's that mash bill. They claim it's a soft red winter wheat. It's very unique for their whiskey, and they're going to highlight the fact that there's a limestone shelf where the distillery is actually located, which they're going to advertise. What brings such a unique flavor to Maker's Mark is the fact that they have their own water source, their own watershed in their backyard, where that limestone's filtering out all that iron, all the, uh, just all those impurities, I guess, that would make a bourbon unpleasant. And so they have their own watershed back there, which is really cool. And then they highlight that the yeast strain is older than Maker's itself. So those are a couple things that I had seen on their website. They highlight the fact that they do a level 3 or a number 3 char on their barrels. So they put all that together, and they're in their opinion, they're making a very unique whiskey, a very unique bourbon, especially for the price. So you want to hit on that?
Yeah. So on those prices, while you're talking that up a little bit, traditional Maker's Mark, which you have, it's $26 here in Ohio. The version I have, the cash strength, it runs $45. They've got another of this same product in a 101 variety. So my cash strength is 110.4. I guess they felt the need. That 0.4 is what gets you. It's not the 110. But they have a 101 variety. It's also $40. So I mean, pick, wherever you want to be in there. If you want to, get a $26 bottle at 90 proof, it's there. You want to go up a little bit to 101, 40, spend a little bit more, or you can go full cash strength at $45. They've got, the same product variety of options, which is nice. But, something we've talked about other bourbon companies, and they love to give you this big, long out drawn history of all the people that they've, somehow Pappy Van Winkle and Colonel E.H. Taylor and, all the other royalties of bourbon are somehow always interlapped into all these other bourbon companies.
Right.
Maker's Mark's pretty straightforward. It was originally, founded back in 1953. Gentleman, T. William Bill Samuel Sr. He bought
Actually,
what
if
was
you
known
guys
as the
remember what I said earlier, Bill's mash,
Yeah.
Yep.
So he bought what was known as the Burke's Distillery back in October 1953 for $35,000. In today's money, that's about 400 grand. So he had a little bit of change in his pocket.
Mhm.
But he bought it in 1953. It wasn't until 1958 when you look at every bottles of Makers, the first thing that is consistent with all of them is that nice red wax label. So in 1958, that's when the actual first Maker's Mark bottles with that red wax label started rolling off, the production floor. Fast forward to 1981, it started switching hands. He finally sold it from 1981 until about 2011. It switched hands multiple times. It's now owned by the conglomerate Beam Suntory, who owns a lot of different bourbon and whiskey companies. That mash bill you talked of, Anthony, it's a consistency of 70% corn, 16% winter wheat, and 14% malted barley. They don't use any rye in their mash bill.
Which is
So,
unique.
but really, that's the meat and potatoes of them. They don't give you this backstory of being, found in the walls of their great grandfather's original brick house, or coming up the Mississippi rivers. They're straightforward. They don't, that's a lot of whiskey companies love that big backstory. These
They
big
do.
names.
Yeah, you
But
walk into Buffalo Trace, and you're going to
Yeah.
do a tour, the very first thing that they're going to do is take you to the Wall of Fame, where it's just 15 pictures of every bourbon man ever to have existed,
Yeah.
it seems, in the United States. And they're going to say, every one of these have a hand in this distillery right here.
Blanton,
Yeah. Page
Taylor,
Taylor. Yep.
Lee, they just the names roll on. Wellers, the
And every
Pappies,
single one
and
of
they
them
just
have
sit
a hand
eat
on
that.
this, you know.
Yeah,
And
they
Maker's
sit there
Mark,
and
they're
eat
just
that.
straight to the point. It's here's what we have to offer. And for a $26 bottle, Austin,
Yeah,
sorry I'm interrupting you here.
you're
Uh,
good.
but for a $26 bottle, this is a 6 to 8 year bottle. So we were just talking about this. They don't put that on their label or anything. But it's at least 6 years old. It's not like this is a young bourbon by any means, you know, so you're getting that 6 to 8 years. And to me, that's pretty cool for a $26 bottle. You know, it's a well-aged, well-made, seems. You know, if you go onto this website, it's catchy, but it's not fancy.
Yep.
Okay. It's not a fancy. I don't know. It's intriguing. Like there's a lot of confidence on this website.
And that's what, something else in the price range of this, like Wild Turkey, they're pretty close in price range, but
Yeah.
they've got a, well storied
Oh yeah.
backstory and history. Like they want to tell you, and again, a lot of whiskey companies do that, but I think that's kind of what makes makers a little unique is they don't want to tell you this big grand story. They just want to be them and make a quality, and I'm going to say it right now before we even talk about ratings. They make a quality whiskey and they're just letting that do the talking for them.
Well, let's slide into that. Let's do that right now. Awesome. Let's you go first with the smell.
All right. So again, a little bit different, but we have the same exact product, roughly believed to be the same year. Mine's just cask strength. So for me, there is quite a bit of heat because probably the cask strength, the 110, but even through that, um, mine's been out of the bottle and in my glass for probably 10 minutes now. I get a lot of caramel. I mean, there is just tons of caramel, probably some toffee in there. The heat is pretty brash, but it's from first when I poured it to now, it's definitely falling off. But I'll give the nose a 6 on mine.
So this is a 10 for me.
Okay.
Because I don't smell a lot of alcohol in it, but what I do get is that sweet oaky, lot of caramel. There's a whole lot of that caramel candy smell to it. Like
Yep.
if this was a candle burning in the studio right now, people would walk in and be like, "Ooh, what's that smell? It smells good." It's not the aroma to this is not alcohol-y.
Yep.
It's interesting that I give that a 10. I don't do that often, but I have nothing bad to say about it.
Yep. And that might be if I knocked mine down with some water and killed off that high proof.
Yeah, this is
I
a
might
90 proof.
there.
I'm
Yeah.
sniffing a 90 proof, so there's a
Yeah.
difference there.
Yep. So maybe a little water would put mine in that same regard, but
Oh, let's give it a taste.
so again, the caramel sticks through on the taste for me. A lot of cherry in there. I mean, I am guilty of finding cherry in a lot of things, but this isn't a hint of cherry. Like it is a full punch. So it is heavy on the cherry. For me, that's a solid 7. Like I said, it's nothing magical about it, but again, I don't, it's just their everyday product.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. You gave that a 7.
yep.
So I want more of this. This
Yep.
is this here, and I'm trying to take that price and not think about it, but it's hard for me to do. You guys know me. I'm price matters to me. It's the bang for the buck. So I'm going to push that to the side. This is so sweet, but it has that beautiful flavor of that fruit that you want. You get that. You can't really knock down what fruit it is. You can just taste that it's got a little fruity essence to it. And it's sweet, but unlike the smell, you do get a bit of a burn on the back end. When you swallow that, you do get that smooth and creaminess in the back of your throat a little bit. That sounds funny, but it is true. You do feel it kind of going down. And when you're a whiskey drinker, I think you look for that. Maybe not to burn your throat off like that Jack Daniels. What's that one Jack Daniels? A single
Like,
barrel.
oh yeah, the barrel proof that,
Ooh,
yeah.
that burns so bad for me, but this burns in a good way. You know you're drinking whiskey, but it's sweet like a caramel candy, kind of fruity, a little bit of vanilla. This is a 10-10 for me, and I've never rated a whiskey a 10-10.
Nice.
And I
So
stand
with
strong
that,
with that.
I'm gonna go with
By the
mine.
way,
Mine's going
folks,
up and up.
I just ordered more of these glasses. Some of them are coming in blue. Some of
Ooh,
them are also coming in red. So these will be, I think Dave Kelly out there. Where's Dave at? Is Dave watching tonight? If not, Dave's got one of these. He loves it. He's
is
always,
that is that the lettering that's coming in blue and red?
yes.
Okay.
And then
I didn't
it'll
know if you
be
did that
down
or
at
they
the
actual
bottom. It'll be,
glass.
yep, down at the bottom. It'll be a misted red.
Nice.
So it'll be very neat. So if you guys are wanting one of those, get a hold of us, any of us here. They're $20. But yeah, so this is a 10-10. I don't know if we went back and listened in the episode, I don't think this is sober, Anthony. And I gave it a 10-10.
Yeah. I don't
So
think there's ever been a 10-10.
I don't think any of us have ever
I
done
know,
a 10-10.
yeah.
But
I
this
know
is
that's what's
nothing.
gonna lead you into value.
There's nothing I can give bad about this. This is absolutely a bottle of whiskey that's sitting at 90 proof that you and your buddies could crush in a night. You're not ashamed. You can put it in a decanter, go to a fancy party, and people will be like, man, that's good. What is that? You can mix it in an old fashioned. It's going to be good. You can take shots of it on the golf course. It's going to be good. You can drink it out of a flask. This is just a good, solid whiskey. I wish I had some 46 here to try.
I mean, I've got a cash strength 46 up here. Like I said, I've had it before. I'm not a fan of the 46.
Yeah.
I don't know the difference, but I don't like the 46 as much. So, Maker doesn't make everything perfect, but they make a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, they do.
With the
Just
value on this
this
one,
regular bottle, man.
yeah, I'm gonna give on the one I have here, the cash strength. I'm gonna give my value an 8, because you're telling me I've got something that has a pleasant nose minus a little heavy alcohol taste on it. It's solid. Again, that caramel was back there from the nose. I got a lot of cherry. The finish, as I tried it a couple more times, some tobacco started rolling in there. So I'm getting 3 very distinctive, notes off of the taste. That's fantastic. The fact that it's a cash strength that I can get for $45.
Yeah.
A lot of other companies are pumping cash strengths at you at 55, 60, 70, $75.
We just had a question. What do you mean by cask strength?
So cash strength is physically the proof of the bourbon or whiskey when they dump it out of the barrel. The barrel is the cask. So they're not, when they dump it out to get to the 90 proof that Anthony's sipping on, they dump the barrels and then they slowly proof them down, which is essentially watering them down to the proof they want. So they wanted his to be 90 proof. They can slowly water it down to get to that. They don't rapidly dump water in there because you could, especially in a high production company, you could proof alcohol down in seconds. They have the technology to do it. But there is a chemical reaction that happens when you're proofing products down. If you add water too quickly, it will generate heat and burn off a lot of the alcohol and the barrel flavor. So that you have to slowly add water to proof it down.
So we'll turn it into like a brandy.
Yeah, or it would just turn it back like into a moonshine. You'd get a very flat tasting whiskey that would it'd have nothing. So they have to slowly proof them down. But cask strength, they dump them from the barrel. Whatever the proof is, that's what it goes into the bottle as.
So there you go. There's your answer for cask strength.
Yep.
So when I give this a value, sorry,
I can't imagine. Well, I mean, you gave it a 10 on the nose, a 10 on the taste, so it's got to be like
4 or 5. 4 or 5.
Yeah, 4 or 5.
No, for $26, brother. It's I put this up there. I'm always very, very pleased with Four Roses too. That's probably another one that I could go across the board. Although smell on Four Roses is not nearly as pleasant as this. So yeah, put 10s across the board for Big Sturge. Very pleasant smell, fantastic flavor, and what an even better buy. What a great
Yeah.
damn buy, boys and girls. If you have not gotten Maker's Mark and you're out there sitting in line for 3 hours to get you an EH Taylor, I'm telling you, this is a fan. This stands its on this stands its own ground. It's a solid bottle. Sorry, I get really excited, Austin.
No. I mean, like I said, you're talking 10, 10, 10 from you, the Russian judge over there, and then 6, 7, 8 from me over here. Just
Sure.
pointing on, taking small points away for not pointing their toes and whatnot. But
Well,
ultimately,
you
I'm giving
know,
them an average of a 7. So
and it's hard for me to I need to me that and I say this every time, but that price really matters for me. So it's under a $30 bottle. What can you get better than this for under $30? And it's like there's a lot of good bottles out there for under 30, but this is a great bottle under 30.
yeah,
So, and
and
plus
that's
it's
what
a badass bottle. You can go there. We're just talking about the taste of this. What about going to the distillery? You've been there. I've been there. The boys have been there. It's an experience too. It's a really cool place. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's a beautiful walk down to the distillery. You can dip your own bottles there. Maker's Mark has got it going on taste, presentation, facility. It's a great place.
I worked there many, many years ago, and they actually let me dip one of my tools in one of the waxes.
You son of a bitch.
And the guy's response, like when I got done, he's like, "If you dip bottles for us, he's like, and you dipped them like that, you'd be fired like in less than a week." He's like, "That was a terrible dip." I'm just like,
Really?
"Yeah," but he was just like, he was joking, having a good time. But he's like, when we dip bottles, he's like, there is a high expectation.
Yeah. Well,
Those
it's funny you
should
say
have a
that.
certain look.
So I went up first to dip my bottles with my wife, and they were like, "Not like that. Like you got to hold it like
Yeah.
this. You're not doing it right. This." But then she does it, and it was like they didn't say anything, and I was like, "Really?" But yeah, it's an art.
Yeah.
It's an art to this process, and I learned something new about you today.
Yeah. I think I think, I don't know of any other company that started. There's a lot of companies now that do the wax dips. I don't know that anybody did it before Makers.
You worked there?
I work like they had our instruments, so I
Wow,
went there working on one of our instruments. So I got to work at the facility. I didn't work for Makers.
that's pretty cool,
Yeah.
man. That's a cool experience to be able to dip a crescent wrench in it.
Yeah, I got a nice behind the scenes tour of that place when I got done working, and it was nice.
Yeah, that's pretty. It's a beautiful, absolutely gorgeous place. So if you guys haven't had a chance to go down to Maker's Mark and give that a tour, you know, while you're waiting 6 months to get into Buffalo Trace, go on down there. You could probably walk in and do it.
And Bardstown's not far from there as well. So you've
Beautiful
got
town, beautiful,
a
gorgeous
whole
town.
corner.
Yeah.
Yeah, great place to go.
So I went all across the board on tens. You went with a high score. I'm going to move on here with I'm going to switch over to Michter's. What are you going to sip on?
So I'm gonna stay with Makers. I'm gonna go into a private selection I have here. It is actually, a shout out to a Cincinnati bourbon group I'm with. It's called the League of Extraordinary Drams here in Cincinnati. It's just a group of bourbon guys that like to get together, but they got with uh, a liquor store over in Kentucky, and they did their own little private selection pick. So this is called the Andrews Share. So a little shout out to the League of Extraordinary Drams and their barrel pick.
That's interesting. So
But
I'm gonna go Mickers tonight. It's never opened it. I've had this for years. I don't know why I've waited this long to open it, but it's a
that's a
Michter's.
mistake.
Yeah, I know.
Should
Michter's.
have been
It's
gone by
because I've
now.
had so much Michter's in here. But this is just Michter's small batch unblended American whiskey. It's it's a small batch, so it's limited quantities. Its bottling strength is 83.4 proof, so that's 40, almost 42% alcohol. Uh,
Yep.
it's a It's whiskey soaked American white oak barrels, and it looks pretty cool. So I'm going to crack that open. And do you want to talk about what you got there and what you're smelling on yours?
So yeah, like I talked about the Maker's private selection, they do a lot of, one of the things they do on all the private selections, they talk about the Stav profile. On the front of this one, it has 5 different things it hits on. They give them a score of, I believe it's 0 to 5. The first one here, it says baked American puree. It's a 0, so that's not really in the profile. The next one, it says seared French cuvee. They give it a 3. The next one is Maker's Mark 46. They give that a 3. So the base for this is Maker Mark 46, which I said normally I don't like Maker's Mark 46. The next one, it says roasted French Mandiant. I don't know how that word's actually pronounced, but it gives it a 3. And then the last one is a toasted French spice. It gives it a 1. It is 110 proof. The heat on this is still there, but I smell a lot of maple syrup, a lot of just molasses, very sweet smelling. And when I taste this, it's like somebody took rum and poured it on a big stack of French toast. Like, it's fantastic.
This one's unique, dude. This one's got like a really deep butterscotch, which I don't normally get butterscotch often. This one's like a smell wise is like a 4.5. It's
4.5. Not there for you?
well, it's all I smell is butterscotch. No, not really. It's not really there for me. I'm not getting anything other than that. It's weird.
Okay. I would give the nose on this one, I'd give a 7.
I mean, this one's not like it's not necessarily it's almost like an oily. It's like oily. It's weird. It's it smells a lot stronger than it is. It's only 83 point what did I say? It's an 83.4 and it smells more like a 98 or something like that.
Okay.
I'm gonna dive into it.
Maybe you need to let it sit and kind of breathe and burn off a little bit since you just opened it. Needs to get a little air in her.
Don't you tell me what to do. I just as I take a sip of it. Definitely doesn't smell what it tastes like though.
Yeah, good taste.
Yeah, it's got a really soft it's a very soft flavor. It's not necessarily a strong whiskey, but it's got that hint of the, I get that caramel and the dried fruits. It's I don't a lot of vanilla. I don't necessarily get the butterscotch though, which is interesting.
No. So you gave it what, a 4.5 on the
Yeah,
nose?
it's like a 7 on a taste.
Okay. So on mine, I would give mine a 9 on the taste. Like I said, I mean, it's like somebody poured rum over top of French toast and syrup. It's fantastic. The only knock is I give it like it's overly sweet. I mean, this thing is super sweet. Like, I feel like I'm gonna have cavities in the morning because I'm sitting here eating
Really?
candy. Yeah,
And what's the strength?
a 110. It's strong, but it
Crazy.
is super sweet.
And,
Oh,
and I think that's hard to get sometimes is that really, really sweetness. And at the same time, you get that really hotness.
yeah. Like you can feel the alcohol in the end, but there is a ton of sweetness in it. Like I said, it's overly sweet, so that's why I give it a 9. It's fantastic, it's delightful, but at some point, like you got to cut the sweetness out.
This one here, like I took another drink of it and it's hard not to make a face. I don't know how to explain that.
It's
It's
just not getting there.
yeah, it's one of those things, man. It's like it's not bad, but I'd probably like the next time I drink this and I'm down here by myself or whatever, I'm watching the ball game and I pour this is going on the rocks.
Yeah,
I'd
or
probably
maybe
put this on the rocks and just very, very slowly sip it and I'd probably enjoy it.
more old fashioned. And
Yeah,
because if you water that down too much more, I mean, it's really gonna fall off.
Well, you
Yeah.
know me, nothing sits in the
Yeah.
glass too long. You know how I roll, brother.
Yep.
So I would say, between the two of these, I know a lot of guys out there that really swear by Michter's, and I couldn't disagree. But that's a $50 bottle, and Maker's Mark's 26, and it absolutely
That's
smokes the toast off that bad boy.
that's what I was gonna say. Michter's isn't a cheap
Oh,
purchase.
no. They
No.
they have bottles that are a couple $100s. I mean, they're
And
a
so
high end,
what do you give them the value rating on that?
a one.
Ooh, ouch.
Yeah, it's not worth $50.
Yeah. That's what I'm gonna give on mine, even though the smell's pretty pleasant, the taste is pretty pleasant. Um, this one was a $70 bottle. I give the value of 5.
Yeah.
Uh, it's good, but it's a $70 bottle. There's so many things I could buy, a cash strength of makers and a regular makers, and I'm barely hitting 70.
You can buy a
Uh,
Blanton's at the distillery cheaper than that.
yeah. I mean, there's a lot of things you can drop $70 on. So,
Yeah.
if this was 55 or 60, like I've seen a lot of others, I think that's where it needs to be at. I think it's a little overpriced at that price point, but it's a great drink. I'm not mad that I got it and I have it to share with other people
Oh,
by any means.
absolutely.
But at $70, yeah, I think it's just a touch over.
That's what I'm getting at the Michter's. I think if this was like a $30 bottle, I think I saved 20-25 bucks on this bottle. I think I'd, and again, I'm not mad about the fact that I bought it either, but I've had some other of the Michter's product that's a lot better. Um, so this is actually the first time I've been disappointed with Michter's. If you guys go back and listen to some of the episodes that we've done in the past, I've done like the Michter Sour Mash. That was really good. I really enjoyed that bottle. But as far as being fancy, I would put this bottle out there that Michter's tries to play that fancy. Like this is a high end bottle, I guess you would say that they try to make that a high end name. Michter's is a high end name in the bourbon world. I would say. Um,
And they're one company, Michter's, they have been bought and sold so many times. If you go back and look at their history, like your head would spin.
yeah,
They've literally been bought and sold 20, 30 times and shut down and reopened.
and their
Tom,
hours suck.
yeah. Um, Tom Foolery is a company, I believe they're up in Cleveland, Ohio.
Mhm.
So the last time Michter shut down, Tom Foolery actually bought their stills. And when Michter's reopened, they went back to Tom Foolery and tried to buy them back. And,
Really?
and initially, Tom Foolery was like, "No, we bought them. We want to use them. We're happy with what we're doing." And then finally, Michter's, after being persistent, finally convinced them to buy them back. So Michter's does have their original stills from 19 whatever,
I did not know
from the
this.
original owner. But yeah, Tom Foolery, like I said, I think it's up in Cleveland, Ohio. They had bought them when they shut down back, I think in the 80s. And they had been using them until Michter's finally, you know, I don't know what they paid for them, but I'm sure they had to pay just an absolutely ridiculous amount to get them back
Oh,
because
they
Tom
had to
Foolery
pay a
won't
lot
know.
more than what they sold it for. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
Have you ever been to the Michter's in Louisville?
mm-mm.
So it's a
No.
very it's right across the street from the Louisville Bat Museum. I've been there probably at least 5 times, and I will tell you this: it's a very nice place. It reminds you of just like a small shopping store, but the aroma, because they don't that nothing is covered. It's
Yeah.
it's all open, and the aroma in that place is amazing. But I've probably went there. I've been there 5 times. I've probably tried to go there 8 times. 3 of those times, it's been during the week, and they're just not open. It's like random times. It's just like, why aren't they open? Um, so, but yeah, it's I've had good whiskey from these guys. So anybody that's listening that's not had Michter's, I'm not saying don't go try it. I mean, I'd even buy this bottle again just to make sure I had it on the shelf. But it's definitely Michter's is that's an interesting story. I didn't realize that they have, closed and opened like that and then sold their stuff, and that's an interesting story.
Yeah, they used to be based out of Pennsylvania, when they first started, like going back pre-prohibition. Um, like they had, massive fires. They were part of the, I think we touched on it in the like prohibition episode that Jake and I were talking about it. But during the whole whiskey rebellion, I believe theirs was one of the places that actually like kind of got set fire, caught fire
Mhm.
during that massive pushback. But yeah, they'd caught fire, been sold, bought out, forcefully shut down for dealing during prohibition. I mean, they talk about a company that has a very storied history past. Like they have one, but now they're set up in Louisville, so their ties to the original Michter's, brand. Basically, I don't know, maybe they're using the same mash bill, but their biggest piece of tying to the Michter's brand is the name and the fact that they bought their stills back.
So one of the days that my mother-in-law and I went to Kentucky, and we went to Louisville, and I said, let's stop over at Michter's. And she's like, yeah, let's go. We stood in line for like 10 minutes, and it was like 15 minutes past the time they were supposed to open. There's a couple guys in line waiting, and finally I was like, this is weird. They're not open. So I called it, and they were closed. Well, somebody told my mother-in-law and I that they were a Jewish company. And so I was like, that's not true. But the name kind of seemed like it, maybe like a Michter's could be like, and so we Googled it, and the day we were there was a Jewish holiday, and they were closed. So I wonder how true that is. Like, is it like a kosher whiskey?
No, I mean they're owned by Chatham Imports, which is a brand out of New York.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, Chatham, I guess, could be Jewish, but the name Michter's is simply the founder. It's a
Okay.
combination of his two sons. One was named
Do not
Michael.
school me
One
on
was
my
named.
podcast, sir. I love
But
it.
yeah, like one was named Michael, one was named Peter. So he used the Mick from Michael and the Ter from Peter, and it became Michter. That's literally all the name is just like his two sons' names mixed together.
But it sounded good.
It did, sure.
It sounded good. So the guy that told my mother-in-law and I that you lucked out, it was a Jewish holiday when they were closed.
But yeah, I mean, I don't
Well, if
know
you're
anything
Jewish and you
about
listen to
Chatham
this,
Imports.
and you're like, don't listen to Big Sturge because this may not be kosher. I don't just take back
Yeah, this,
everything that I said.
yeah. But yeah,
So
I mean, Chatham Imports, maybe they are Jewish. I have no idea,
I have
but
no idea, brother.
I
I'm
know
just going
Michter's.
off of what we were told, man.
Yeah,
And when he told us that, we looked it up, and it was a Jewish holiday. Like that's why I was like, Michter, that sounds,
this dude knows his stuff.
this guy, like, how'd he know it? Wait, why was he standing in line? I'm confused. I didn't think that because he was in front of us. I was like, now that I look back, I'm like, this guy's full of shit. I don't know. Maybe he wasn't. Maybe
All
he's
right.
what's this fat ass doing back here? I'm gonna tell him a funny ass story because I'm Jewish and it's a holiday. I'm just gonna throw some shit out there. But he had me going. So,
Never know.
but right across the street from there is a really cool spot. It's right next to the Bath Museum. It's called Billiard. It's you shouldn't talk about something we don't remember the name, but I'm going to do it anyways. It's just right across the street, and it's a distillery. It's a whiskey place, and they blend. It's a blender. It's a blending place. You can go in there, tell them exactly what you like, and they'll blend you a whiskey just to your
Nice.
taste. You can name it whatever you want, and it's a really cool time. So check that out if you go to Michter's. Go across the street.
And that's the whole Distillers Row is right there, which
Oh, it's awesome,
is,
dude. It's a great time.
it's a cool scene.
You can literally park your car and just spend the whole day on that road.
Yeah.
I
And
mean,
then you got, I think,
fucking amazing.
is it 4th Street Live or something that's
Yeah,
not
yeah,
too
yeah,
far
yeah,
from
yeah.
there as well?
Yep.
Like it's a good spot.
And let me tell you something. If you don't want to walk around, because I'm not a walker, obviously, they have scooters.
You know, I mean, what you got? Michter's there. You got Old Forester. You got the Evan Williams experience.
Mhm.
Barrels right there in that area.
There
Angels
was a
Envy's not too far.
Jim Beam sidekick place there where you could buy a one bottle of a certain type of Jim Beam. I don't know if my wife's listening to this. I don't know if that's still there, but that was really cool. We went there too.
Yeah, right.
Plus, if you want to take a break, there's lots of food right there.
All tons of food.
Yeah,
Get
there's
to the ball game, like you said, Louisville Bats.
in the
Catch a
Bass
game.
Museums right there. It's such a, it's interesting because we're going to obviously bring this up before we get off tonight, but we've had a lot of people ask if the farm to bottle was child friendly. I kind of wanted to hit on that.
Absolutely.
It's like absolutely, yeah. I'm like, it's just it's not going to be like elementary school play, but just because it's like Louisville's a good time with your family. There's
Yep.
always stuff to do. So if you have a family and you're wanting to, and you're second guessing going to farm to bottle, I would say come check it out anyways and just see because there's gonna be so much food there. There's so many things that you can do that while you're there. Um,
Yep.
that it's absolutely still worth checking out.
Yeah,
Uh,
the fairgrounds are going to hold this event in. It's a large open area.
and I don't know,
So
Austin. I don't know if you haven't been on in a while since this has happened with us. You know this because you live right by it, right?
yeah, yeah, it's here in town that I live just outside of, but the fairgrounds is a fairly large open space. They pack it every year, obviously, for the fair, but there's multiple other events. That place, I've never seen it so packed that you couldn't comfortably move about. If they're gonna have bands out there, um, I mean, they've got plenty of seating up in the track area that
Yep.
if you just need to take a break and get away, you can separate yourself from the music, loud things like that. There's a great, walking track around the fairgrounds area. So,
Campgrounds.
yeah, the camp, it's not your traditional campground, but if you do come and get a camping space, they have the Power Connect areas. It's not like you're in a wooded environment.
Well, no, but you
Being a
have
campground that
you can go there, hook your camper up, and stay
yeah,
there, for those few days.
yeah, and it's well off to the side of all the main event stuff. It's all fenced, that entire campground is fenced in.
Mhm.
So it's not like if you are camping there, you got to worry about your kids wandering out in the woods and getting
Sure.
lost. They can't, there's, 2 points of entry for them. There are other points of entry into the park, or into the fairground, but they keep the rest of them closed up. So you don't have to worry about, kids wandering off and getting lost. During the event, there's a safety headquarters there that they keep first aid, a sheriff on site. Every year I've been there, they've been super pleasant. They know it's a confined space, so their main priority that I've always seen at all events there is making sure people are enjoying themselves,
Yep.
making sure people are getting treated and having a good time. There,
And let's be honest,
a lot
Austin.
of other,
The guy throwing the event, Dan, he ain't putting up with shit. So
yeah,
he's throwing a really really awesome time, guys. It's August 25th through 27th. Farm to Bottle Festival. There's going to be so much stuff there: moonshine, beer, wine, bourbon, car shows, camping, crafts vendors, live music, food vendors. There was like a wood carver, and Catfish Cooley is the MC. So there's so much stuff that's going to be available for just so many different things for people to do. So
do you know Anthony, do you know who Ginger Billy is?
I
Have you
do
ever seen him?
actually, yeah.
We need to find a way to get him tagged in this. I think he is just hilarious. And if we're Catfish Cooley's there, I feel like we just need to start chasing down some other personalities. I feel like Ginger Billy would be a guy that'd be a hell of a time there. But I mean, Catfish Cooley, that's a big name to pull into the group.
I know, right? He's gonna
Right?
love the boys, I swear. I guarantee you,
Yeah.
hotter shit.
but I don't
If
know. Like
Catfish
when you
is
hear
listening to
that
this,
name,
I will eat something hotter than you.
oh, damn.
So I threw it out there. Judge me if you'd like. So,
Oh,
anyways, don't
I
forget,
don't
guys,
listen.
Farm to Bottle Festival, August 25th through 27th. You don't want to miss out. You can buy your tickets, and hopefully we can get Dan back on here. And Dan launched a podcast about Farm to Bottle. So get on there and check that out. Hopefully we can get him back on here.
So, Anthony, is he running that on a reoccurring like same day, same time situation,
uh,
or does he just randomly pop in there?
Dan, are you listening to this? If so, if not, later on, comment on the bottom here. But I believe it's Tuesday nights, at 7 or something like that, 7:30, something like that.
Okay,
And he's going to be getting different guests on there, I believe,
very
and
nice.
talk about the show. So, but yeah, it's gonna be it's gonna be a good time. So get on the Fart in the Bottle on Facebook, and it'll tell you there. I should have pulled it up before I talked about it. But so
Yep.
but anyways, guys, I don't want to take any more time from anybody tonight. It's already getting late. Um, Austin, I appreciate you coming on tonight, having a couple drinks with the fat guy over here.
So Dan did comment. He said his podcast will actually be. It's normally on Tuesday nights at 7:30.
Okay.
Um, so that's his comment right there.
And Dan, if you get a chance this weekend to hop on with us, we'll be on Sunday. So if you want to hop on here and give
But
the
he did.
one more time.
He did say this week's will be on tomorrow, so he'll be
Okay.
on Thursday this week, but normally Tuesdays at 7:30.
All right, guys. So definitely click on Dan's stuff, follow everything that he's got going on. This is going to be a banging ass time. We're going to have such a good time at this festival. I'm renting a camper. The boys will all be there. We're going to have such a good time. We've had an insane amount of people reaching out about this that just listened to American Whiskey. So we know a lot of you guys are going to be traveling to this event too. So make sure you get your tickets. Go ahead and prepay for them now. So that way, you're going to get there. No issues at all. Be careful for the scammers out there on social media, because they're out there too. But anyways, thank you guys for joining us so late at a random time, because we weren't prepared for this, but you know what? We laid one down for you guys. So as always, I'm Big Sturge.
I am Austin. Dan just said they're having a pub crawl Saturday in Wilmington. So, Dan, I'll see you Saturday.
Dan, I can make that happen, I believe. So, Austin, I'll get with you on that and try to get with Jason and Dylan and see what they're into. Some of us will see you most likely. So, as always, guys, we're American Whiskey. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to share, subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere you listen to your podcast. AmericanWhiskey@gmail.com. You can reach us there. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. We're on there too. So, Austin, any last words, brother?
Good night, guys. Thanks for listening.
Love you guys, and we'll talk to you soon.